This is coinnewsextra.com, a cryptocurrency and blockchain media platform based in Nigeria, Africa. So we report about cryptocurrency and blockchain globally. So we have with us the CEO of WazirX Exchange, Niska Shetty. Did I get it right? Did I get your name right?
Yeah, I mean, there are different pronunciations to my name. You can, but usually, you can call me Nishal. I think that's easier to say. But in India, people call me Nischal. So, but that's harder to pronounce.
Okay. I tried then. So we are going to be talking about the state of cryptocurrency and blockchain and the way forward. So I want you, before we go direct to the topic, I just want you to explain briefly what WazirX is all about.
Sure, man. WazirX is a cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy crypto with your fiat currency. We launched first for India. So right now, today, if you're in India, you can buy any of the crypto you want with your fiat, which is INR, the rupee. And once you buy your crypto, you can also then trade on our crypto to crypto platform. Meaning, once you buy, let's say, Tether with your rupee, you can then buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of we have over 60 to 70 cryptos listed on WazirX. So you can start trading as well. So it's a complete crypto to crypto, trading experience coupled with the fiat to crypto experience. People come in, they trade, they can stay, they can move their, cryptos from our wallet to any other wallet as well. So everything is there in WazirX. We launched it in March 2018, and we've now grown to be one of the largest in India and the most trusted brand today, with hundreds and thousands of users using our product.
Okay, that's good. You are the CEO of WazirX. Actually, I want you to tell our audience maybe how did you come into the crypto space?
Yes, so so it was not like, I found crypto and I just jumped into it. It's been like an on and off relationship with crypto. The first time I came across crypto was very, very early. It was late 2009 when there was just Bitcoin. And only a niche community knew about what crypto was. But back then I wasn't sold on that idea. I thought it was amazing, but I thought it must be one of those many like groundbreaking technology that comes. I never thought it would be what it is today. After 2009, I came across crypto again in 2012 when a lot of Bitcoin wallets being built around that time. I think the first set of Bitcoin wallets were being built around 2012, 2013. That's when I experienced them again. But again, I did not get deep into it. Then finally, in 2017, when the whole market started exploding, is when I got into crypto, and I've not been able to get out of it anymore. So that's how I really got into crypto. I would say my third attempt got me into crypto.
Okay, that's great. That's a very beautiful one. So you got into crypto, you got to know about crypto very early. So what actually led to the birth of WazirX?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I really got into crypto, I realized the potential that blockchain as a technology and crypto as an asset class can have on the world. The impact can be really amazing if it is done in the right. And when I got deep into this, I realized that the first most important thing for any country is to have an amazing, on ramp, like a way for people to buy crypto. To enter crypto, you need to be able to buy crypto with your fiat money. And when I looked at all the exchanges in India, none of them had an experience which was amazing. Like in some exchanges, it took days to buy crypto. In some exchanges, the crypto rates were like more than 10 to 20% of the market rate. Like, if you got Bitcoin for $5,000, it was selling for $6,000, $7,000 in India. So there was a large spread in the whole crypto market in India. And I think it was this whole, the bad experience and the high rate of crypto that made me believe that a good product was needed for India, where we would be able to get down the time taken to buy crypto and the cost as well. So we were able to do that with WazirX eventually, where today, if you see, the people in India are able to buy crypto within like 5 to 10 minutes on WazirX, and at a rate which is, I would say, sometimes on par, but sometimes there's a premium of 1 to 2% or 3% max. So it's been a good journey in establishing and doing what we wanted to do with WazirX.
Oh, that's good, very great. So there are some news coming out of Asia, India. How is it? How is the crypto space over there in India and Asia in general? How is the space like?
Right. So yeah, and speaking of news, there can be quite a bit of confusing news that comes out. You read in the news, and it's like it's always sensational. It says that Bitcoin is banned in India, but Bitcoin is not banned in India. Then there are news that says that you will be put in jail for 10 years, but that's not true. The only thing that is happening in India right now is that our central bank in India does not allow you to, as a crypto exchange, we are not allowed to have bank accounts in India. So that's a problem. But what we did is we have this peer-to-peer way, where as a buyer, you can buy crypto directly from a seller, which is a third party, some other person, like not us. And as an exchange, we just use this as a platform to connect the buyer and the seller. So that way we have been able to function in India. But as far as the legality of crypto is concerned, I would say in India, the crypto is neither legal nor illegal. It's a gray area. The government has not said anything bad about crypto. It has not said anything good about crypto. It's been more neutral. So you are free to trade in India on crypto. You can hold crypto. You can, send crypto to your friends. You can do all of that without any legal issues in India. But you cannot, as an exchange, you cannot have a bank account. So that's the only problem in India today.
Okay, I'll be going to, before I move to regulations so that you speak deeply about it, how are the masses reacting to cryptocurrency and blockchain over there? Are they willing to adopt it?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the masses, I think the ones who are very, very willing, the motivation is very high, is in the people who are in the range of 18 to 24, 25-year-olds. The young population of India, they're very, very motivated. They all want to understand because they love. I think it's the young generation just loves technology. They're not motivated by anything else. Like the traditional equity market, they don't care. But when it comes to crypto, they're very motivated in understanding what crypto is. Reading more about it. And there are so many types of crypto, so they want to understand each and every type of crypto. Like I get a lot of people writing in saying, I read this white paper. What do you think of this? Or I tried this, creating a wallet on top of this blockchain. Can you try it out? So there's a lot of Indians who are not just buying the crypto asset, but also working on top of it, building it. Or there are people who are trying to create communities around different crypto projects. So there's a lot of work going on in India, especially in the young population today.
Okay, that's very good. So let's move over to regulations. You made mention of cryptocurrency exchanges not being allowed to have bank account in India. So I want you to elaborate more. How is the regulation like in India?
Yeah, see, the thing is, as an exchange, we are definitely not allowed to have a bank account. But like I said, we've had this whole peer-to-peer way, which works very beautifully. Apart from that, I think if you want to, let's say, create any crypto projects, you can freely do that. You wouldn't have to worry about, going against the law because there's no law against crypto. And it's for a simple reason. If you think about it, crypto is a very new, field of technology where no country has defined laws. There are no law that is already defined in a country. So India is in a similar position. There's no defined law, and India being one of the largest democracy and one of the second most populated country in the world, I don't think our government can just come up with some law just like that. So they're taking a cautious effort to probably understand. If you look at some of the recent news in India, the government has been trying to work on blockchain. So what they're doing is they want to understand blockchain, but they're not talking about crypto, because I think they know that if they talk about crypto, people will go crazy about it right now. So what they're doing is they're saying that we are learning blockchain as a technology, and they want to come up with a framework on the blockchain policy, the national blockchain policy for India. So I think it might come probably next year. And my belief is once this blockchain policy is set, I think the next step for the government would be to then look at crypto and probably understand it and then set a new crypto policy. But I think first the blockchain policy will come out, and only then will the government get into crypto. So that's where the India situation is.
Okay.
There has been, if you want, I can talk a bit about. I don't know if you heard about this, but there were recent reports like a few months back in India that cryptocurrency has been made illegal or it's been banned, and people will be put in jail for holding crypto. So this was a draft recommendation built by an independent committee that the government had set up. So it's not a law; it's just a proposal from one of the independent committee that was set up. Now, whether the government will accept that or just reject it, that none of us knows. But yeah, there's a draft recommendation by a committee which says crypto should be banned. But I don't believe that our government will take that step, because if you look at countries globally, all the countries, they're all working towards positive regulation, not just banning crypto, but they want to understand how crypto should be regulated. So I think India is also going to wait and watch for other countries and see how the other nations, take the right steps in crypto. I think India will then follow it.
Okay, that's very nice. That's very nice. So it's just like how it is over here in Nigeria. The government is not against it, neither is it with it, but they are just neutral, being at the background, observing how everything is going. So that's very good. So let's move away from regulations. Let's come back to WaziX. So is there any plan of WaziX trying to go global, or do you want to focus on Asian market alone?
Now, I think the first focus for WazirX is India, because we've been working on the Indian market. There's a lot of scope in India. It's got over 1 billion users, and I think we've not even touched. I don't know. It's not even 1%. So that's a lot of opportunity in India for us to grow. This is, I would say, just the beginning for us. So India is like our top priority. We want to do it. But now, because of the whole Binance acquisition, what we've seen is a new opportunity has opened up for WazirX, which is, can we implement the same technology in more countries where there are banking issues or there are problems with I would say time taken to buy crypto, or if the cryptos are expensive in a country in terms of premiums. I would say these are the countries where we want to go. If I believe personally is, you should be able to buy crypto within 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, with your fiat. If today you meet a friend and you tell him that you should buy Bitcoin, that friend should be able to buy Bitcoin within 5 minutes. And if that is not happening, I think that's an opportunity for everyone to go and solve that problem. And I think this problem exists in a lot of countries. So with WazirX, we want to go to more countries with the help of Binance, because Binance has a brand, it has a global presence, so we can leverage that to build P2P platforms in new countries.
Okay,
so that's our plan.
Okay, that's very good. I was trying to come to Binance deal with WazirX. So there's this quote I saw on your platform. Say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So
yes.
Is it this that really brought about the Binance deal? Wazir Binance deal?
Yeah, I think what you said is the exact thought process that was in my mind when I was thinking of this whole deal with Binance. That the crypto ecosystem is very, very new. Especially in India, it's a very small and niche ecosystem, and there's a lot of opportunity to grow it. But I think alone, if we try to grow it, it might take us maybe X number of years to make this ecosystem really matured in India. Compared to that, I knew that if I could partner with some strong partner, like in this case Binance, then we could reduce this time, from X to maybe X by 2, or maybe even X by 3 or X by 5. So what you could do in 5 years, maybe you can compress it to do it in 1 year or 2 years, and that's the biggest motivation for getting into this whole acquisition with Binance, because they have, I would say, all the exposure, all the experience, and all the right connections to make the right kind of crypto ecosystem in India. And that was the biggest motivation. But apart from that, I think the other motivation was also the fact that Binance has the same mission and vision as we have at WazirX. which is to make crypto accessible to as many people as possible. And when you have the same mission, you tend to go faster if you can meet, just combine with the same teams that have the same mission. So mission alignment was very, very important for us, which seemed to happen with Binance.
Okay, that's very good. So, what can you really say about the current state of cryptocurrency? What can you really say about it?
You mean in India, or are you talking
In
about
India
it globally?
generally.
Yeah. See, I can talk a lot about the current state of crypto, but to compress this, I think how I see crypto is still in the whole, I would say, the infrastructure building phase, where the infrastructure is not really completely built out. Take for example, if you wanted to build a really good decentralized application, when you go deep into building it, you'll realize a lot of parts are missing. I mean, if I wanted to create a centralized app today, I have all the components ready on the internet. Be it databases, be it connectivity, be it hosting, everything is sorted. But in the decentralized world today, in the world of blockchains, a lot of these things are still being built out. And I think it might take a few more years, maybe 1 or 2 years, for this infrastructure to be built out. Once this infrastructure is built out, I believe the next phase of rapid adoption will happen, where a lot of applications we never thought possible in the whole crypto ecosystem will start emerging. But for that, first the infrastructure has to be built out, which is where if you see, a lot of blockchains are fighting to be that infrastructure. Everyone wants to be like the next DApp platform, or the next platform where people will build their products. But it's not done yet. I think the opportunity is still open. A couple of blockchains might solve it, or maybe many blockchains will solve it. But when it gets solved, I think the adoption level will increase, because new apps will be built on top of it.
Okay,
so that's my thought.
Thank you very much. So before we round it up, I want to come up with this last question. So when you are saying at the course of the interview, you said you made mention that India have population, and you guys have been able to penetrate some, let me just say, like 1% of the Indian population. So what do you think, and this is the same thing across the world, even over here in Nigeria, because of our population, we've been able to penetrate to, let me just say, 1% also. So what do you think, and this is a general challenge globally, so what do you think should be done to have crypto and blockchain mass adoption?
And that's a very tough question to answer, but from my point of view, I think we should first try to learn what history can teach us. And if you look at the way the internet adoption happened globally, it was not the same way in every country. Every country had its own, I would say, that movement where crypto adoption shot up. For many countries like India, and I think, if I'm not wrong, even Nigeria, it's been mobile phones were probably the biggest, I think, the trigger for mass adoption of internet, because everyone had a mobile phone, everyone could get connected to the internet. So that was like the watershed movement for internet in developing countries, I think. When it comes to crypto, I don't know what that moment would be. It will come in time. But I think a few indicators that I can see is, one is, I think the biggest is cheaper access to capital. If you look at least in terms of India, I know that if you want to access capital today, like if you want to take a loan from the bank, in India you pay from 10 to 15% rate of interest on a loan that you take. But if the way the crypto is going, I think a lot of capital is going to come into crypto, and people anywhere in the world can access crypto. So, so because of this, India, I think, will get access to cheaper capital, maybe a rate of interest of 3% or 4%. And when that happens, and when that, the masses realize that instead of taking a bank loan at 10 or 15%, you could take a loan using crypto at maybe 3% or 4% someday. I think that's going to be the tipping point where we'll see a lot of penetration of crypto around the country. At least in India, I think that is what might trigger. I might be completely wrong, but my thought is that.
Okay, so are you guys doing anything concerning crypto education? Do you have any plan about educating the masses about crypto and blockchain?
Yeah, I think we want to get into that. We right now we are doing in our own small ways. Like one of the things that I'm doing personally, is running a campaign on Twitter called India Wants Crypto, where every day I tweet about something related to the crypto space. So, and I've been getting a lot of people who write into me saying that because of this crypto campaign, they got interested in crypto. They started researching and understanding. So I think that's just a small part of what else we want to do. We want to spread a lot of right information, because if you look at the crypto space, there's a lot of negative and wrong information being spread in crypto today. So I think our motivation is to ensure that the right information passes to everyone in India, and we're doing our own small ways. Hopefully, these small efforts bubble up and become big eventually with time. But right now, the idea is to just in our own small way, probably through tweets, newsletters, and we haven't done any meetups yet. But I think meetup is also a good way to spread crypto offline, which probably in the future we'll want to do. But right now, it's more of online campaigns we've been running in educating people about crypto.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nisel Shetty. So
Thanks a lot.
It's our pleasure having you on coinnewsextra.com. So
thanks a lot for having me. Thanks a lot for having me on the show. And I hope to get on this again someday with you once we have some more news to share with everyone.
Okay, no